Hi guys, welcome back to another video, much appreciated. Welcome back to James Talks Sports. If you're wondering why I'm filming up here in my room again after I said last time that the line was terrible, which it is, but there's some building work we've got going on down in the gardens. They've got all their little power tools and hammers, so I'm just, while they're doing that, I'm just going to film up here because I haven't really got anywhere else to film in the house, and it's just easy because I just stick my camera up there. Anyways, what a weekend of sport we had. How good was that? Good result for Hibs in the Scottish Cup, getting the win over Dundee, where I did my uni degree. A great result. Well, Chelsea versus Tottenham was a bit of a letdown, wasn't it? Classic Mourinho, you know what I mean? He's just going to defend. He came for a draw, he left for the draw, he got what he wanted, so no use crying about it. And of course, Barcelona 4-0 with Griezmann scoring an absolute rocket, which was brilliant, and I loved Messi's little tribute to Diego Maradona. So credit to him. All right, this is not a football video. This is a boxing video because we're going to round up all the boxing from the weekend. What do we have? We had the first one was Danny Jacobs against Rosado, which was, I didn't see that until Saturday, so I was waiting to make some kind of analysis on it. It wasn't too much, not too much happening. Rosado was the perfect serviceable opponent for Danny Jacobs, just to keep him warm. You know, he's kind of your classic middleweight where he's not a tomato can, you know, he's not, you know, top 40 where he's just going to blow him out inside a round, but he's also not quite at that world level that Danny's at, so he's not going to challenge him or cause him any problems. So he's literally just going to keep him warm for 12 rounds, which is what Danny wants at this point. He just wants something to keep him busy before he can try and get himself them world title fights next year. So good win for Danny. Rosado wasn't too happy with the result, I know. Said he was like fuming. I didn't really see it. I know Danny didn't look great in it. He didn't look perfect, far from his best. Yeah, it was alright fight, nothing great. Also, I want to touch on, can we please stop this stupid YouTube boxer nonsense? I really don't. This is really getting out of hand. Like, we had the KSI Logan Paul thing happen, and hope that's not too loud. It's just getting too far now. Jake Paul knocked out that Nate Robinson guy, and you saw how he fell. When a person or a fighter falls forward, you know they are out cold. So this needs to stop because someone is gonna get hurt. Someone's gonna get hurt badly, very badly. You know, boxing for these guys seems to be like they're not fighters. They're not fighting men. They're just some characters from YouTube who have stuck some gloves on and going in there and punching the hell out of each other. It's just not. It's not good for the sport. It's embarrassing, to be honest, in my view. And someone is gonna get seriously hurt. I mean, we hear these stories of like boxers dying in the ring. When I was living in Dundee, there was a guy called Mike Towell who died in the ring, and he was, I think he was 27, 28 or something like that, and he was a seasoned athlete who's, you know, boxers are prepared for this kind of punishment, taking punches. These guys aren't. You know, they might do it for a couple of weeks, but they're not. It's not a life. Boxing for boxers, it's a lifestyle. It's not a game. It's not, you know, it's not something you can just joke about with. I mean, I know this Jake Paul, he seems to take it pretty seriously. I mean, I think he's a bit of a dickhead personally, and I'd love to see, he's called out Conor McGregor. I mean, I think Conor McGregor would absolutely face plant him, to be honest. Not that I'd have a problem with that, because if there's anyone who deserves it. But yeah, I think this just needs to stop. This crossover nonsense with Conor McGregor as well. You had the fight against Floyd, you sold it. It was a bit of a circus, but that should be it. You know, end it there. But then on that same card, we had Mike versus Roy, which was one I was intrigued about. Can't deny, like, when I saw them on the scales, I was worried because I looked at them and I thought, man, these guys look so far gone compared to what I'm used to seeing them. I mean, Roy just did not look like his usual self. Mike, you could tell Mike didn't look as good as his photos, and them photos have been edited. Them photos have definitely been edited to make him look more ripped and bigger than he is. because people are putting side by side comparisons of him in the 80s and him now. Yeah, could tell that weren't. And a guy who hadn't fought for 15 years, but there is a but here. I'm not going to criticise it because it surprised me. I watched it and I was like, actually, no, what? This is not too bad. I think they weren't allowed to punch to the head. There was no knockouts. And I don't think the result was going to be a guarantee. I think it was like a no winner declared. But even so, I think a draw was the right result. Even though there were times when I was watching it, right, when I was like, Roy, if he unloads here, he can get Tyson out of there. Definitely times when I thought he could get Tyson away. But he's probably been told not to go for the headshots because of the age thing. So, and the fact that it's been so long since Mike's been out of the ring. I mean, with Roy, it was just a couple of years, 15 years Mike was out. So, but I do think this could start a kind of seniors sort of style. I mean, I know you see it in tennis and you see it in athletics and stuff like that, over 50s. This could be the same for boxing. The best thing about this is that both lads came out unharmed and went back to their families. That's what I like best about it. The fact is, you keep the gloves bigger, you have no headshots, you only go in the body, because it looked like body sparring for a lot of it for me. I do think it could work that way, you know, because I know Oscar De La Hoya's spoke about coming out of retirement and fighting Golovkin, which is a death wish if you ask me. And you know if Bernard Hopkins hears about it, he would get involved. Nigel Benn was meant to be having a fight a year ago. He'd be down for that. If you keep it just the punching to the body, no headshots, bigger gloves, 2-minute rounds, 8-round fight, people could actually start a kind of seniors league for retired fighters, boxing league there. Not too sure what I think about it, but I mean, as long as they keep the fighters safe, that's all I care about. But credit to both guys. Roy was clearly knackered when he finished that. He was absolutely out of it. You know, he looked like he gassed after the first round, just and you could tell by the interview that he was wanting to kind of call it a day. Then you got Mike on the other side, like, no, we're doing this again, mate. You are definitely doing this again. And you can hear Roy's like, oh no. Mike's just like a kid who had woken up on Christmas Day. He seemed absolutely buzzing. He seemed to love it. So, but credit to both guys. They came out safe, went back to their families. That's the most important thing for me. Two of the greatest of all time in my book. You know, Roy's top 5 of all time. Mike's easily top 5 heavyweight of all time, and probably just behind Ali is the biggest superstar, like overall superstar boxing's ever had. So credit to them. And of course we had the big one I was most buzzing for, Joyce versus Daniel Dubois. Wow. Man, I got my prediction wrong on that, didn't I? I couldn't have got it more wrong. I thought Daniel Dubois was going to come out strong and potentially finish Joe off, you know, keep the pace up, be a bit too much for him, and potentially get rid of him round 70. How wrong I was. Watching that, I mean, I think once it went past the 4th rounds, when I was watching it, I could clearly see that this was going to be a battle of the gas tanks. It all depends on who can go the longest. Because if this goes 12 rounds, Joyce is going to get a points win. Definitely. And that's why they call him the Juggernaut. You know, he just seems to keep going and going and going. Like in the comics, he just keeps moving forwards, and you can't stop him. And he's tanky as well. Like I said, he's got a really good chin. And Dubois seemed to throw a lot at him, and he just couldn't put a dent in him. Whereas Joe used his experience, used his jab, had a brilliant right hand, and just seemed to land shots whenever Dubois was open, and he just picked him apart. Beautiful boxing, and I 100% believe that Joyce is here. He can now go on to find some better opponents, and he can really get himself out there. Frank Warren needs to put the Queensberry promotion machine right behind him and just get his name in there with some new opponents, British, foreign, whatever. Very interesting to see where he goes, because he's proved he's got the talent. I looked at I didn't realise in the amateurs he'd fought against like Usyk and Hrgovic as well, which is a more credible opponents. I mean, Usyk's arguably a top 5 heavyweight, Hrgovic is near top 10, top 15 heavyweight. So I think Joe Joyce has been underestimated a bit, and this has been the fight which has kind of got his name out there now, because you could see Daniel Dubois was having an absolute shocker with that left eye. You know, I've done boxing a lot of times before in my life, and when you have a problem with the eye, it really affects you, because you could tell by the end he couldn't see out of it. There's no way he could see out of that eye. It was swollen as hell, and he was really struggling. He's a young kid as well. He's only 23, so he's got so much time to come back from it. He'll bounce back. He'll bounce back easy. I think people will say he quit. Did he not quit? What is that? He did. The simple fact is, he did quit, but he quit for his own health and safety. You know, I think in his mind he was thinking, is this fight worth potentially risking the rest of my career? Because eye problems in boxing are huge. You know, Kell Brooks, a classic example. After Golovkin smashed, he broke his orbital bone. He was never the same fighter after that. And Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, they took advantage of that. That's what I was trying to say. So it will prove some problem. I think he's having some surgery on it, which I hope that goes well. But he will come back. And I know Joe has called out Usyk for a match. I mean, I still think Usyk will beat him, because I think Usyk really has shown against Chisora that he's a very, very slippery, very dangerous heavyweight. So, but it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I'd love to see Joe Joyce in there with Dillian Whyte. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be one I would definitely watch to see. Chisora would be another name I'd love to see him in with. We need to not push him too fast, too quickly. So he's beaten Daniel Dubois. We need to get him up into that top 15 level now. You know, see what's available there, and then push him into the top 10. You know, if there's an Oscar Rivas, for example, we can put him in with someone who he can, someone who's a name, someone of note. But credit to both guys, they really both came out of it. Great all-British heavyweight, that's what I love. I love the fact that there's two British heavyweights just going at it, putting it all on the line and bringing us a great fight. And as well, the highlight of the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Snoop Dogg's commentary. That was absolutely brilliant. But credit to both men. They came out safe, and looking forward to see them in the ring again sometime soon. Peace out.